Hey guys, how's it going? Ghostly Rich here. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to strap down a sub box. The reason why I'm doing this is I've seen an increased amount of people saying, oh my god, I installed a subwoofer inside my car and the wire is shorted and now I'm having problems. This is usually fixed as long as you put a fuse at the battery. But I'm going to show you guys how to strap down your sub box just in case you bolt your amp to the back, or so it's just not sliding around in the back, because it's definitely not something you want. So let's show you. As you can see, I can't show you really with a sub box, so I'm just going to be using a regular box. What this allows me to do is just show you how to put, what angles to put strapping on and stuff like that. As you can see, I have this style of sub box, which I had fiberglass, and it's just bolted into the side here. There was an existing bolt, so there's actually a bolt that goes through from the inside of the sub and into the wall, which is pretty good. I don't suggest doing that when you're strapping these things down, because you don't know how deep these fenders go, and it would suck if you popped out the other side of one of your fenders. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hop into the back of the car here, and as you can see, I have the box right here. Now usually what I'll show people to do is I'll lift this up and I'll find a piece of metal right about here. Now the reason why you're looking for metal right along here, usually you do not have a gas tank along here, and this is usually, sometimes with like a lot of Hondas, there'll be a ridge here which your seat would rest against, but they'd rest against this side, so you don't really have to worry. This is actually usually where I go off for a ground too, if you're wiring up your amplifier. So what it'll be is there's usually a hollow cavity right here. In my case there's no hollow cavity, and in some of the cars there probably won't be. So as you can see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go into the car right behind where I am. I know that's in line here with the wheel, and I'm going to look under the car and say, okay, so I have my exhaust there, but the gas tank is up here, so I don't have to worry about hitting the gas tank. There's nothing else in here that I really have to worry about hitting at all. So if you accidentally do go through, which you shouldn't, because we're going to be using some very small self-tapping screws, usually the ones that you want are at maximum an inch of thread. Sometimes they'll be a little bit bigger because they have that self-tapping thread at the end. Usually you want to be about an inch, so that way at maximum anything under that should be fine, just so you're not going into it. And then I'll show you what we're going to use as strapping. I usually use this stuff. I love it because it's flexible in the end, and I'll show you why that's important afterwards. So what you're going to do is you'll usually just cut, turn it into an L, and then you'll brace it right here. So you'll put one screw inside the sub box. I'm just going to get enough out here. So we'll have it like that, that angle, and then you'll bolt, 2 bolts down here and 2 bolts into the sub box, cut it off, and make another one right here. If you want, you can bolt to the roof, but I never usually do that. You could do a front support as well, but you usually don't need to. I'll show you why in a sec. Usually you have to hit a pretty big bump for a sub box to actually jump, so I don't usually strap down the front, and I usually don't strap down the top. You can if you want to. All I'm trying to do majorly with this is make sure the subwoofer is not sliding. So if you want, you can add one more to the front or one more to the back, and you're just gonna, like I said, if you go off the front, make sure you look underneath, make sure your gas tank isn't there or anything else, because you don't want to hit anything. And I'll show you why I only do this. So that way, let's say I've now got this bolted in, it's no longer sliding around. We have 2 of these bolted down. Now, if I say have a flat tire on the side of the road, I can now still move this back a little bit and pick it up and get at my spare. If you bolt this down to the front, I would highly suggest you go off of this plastic piece. And the reason why I say that is because then it'll lift with the plastic piece. If you bolt it right there, you ain't going to be able to lift it up. If you can't lift this up, then you're screwed on the side of the road. So that's why I always suggest only bolting down the back end, and that's usually your best bet. Okay? So all you do is you put your sub box as far back as you can. It's always good if you put a grill on it if you don't have it, so that way you don't bonk it with something like ski pole. I don't know what you're putting in your trunk. And then once you got it where you want it, like I said, you just adjust your ratchets, not your ratchet, your foldable strap right here. This stuff is stupid cheap too, and all you do is you put it down, like I said, 2 bolts into the sub box, 2 bolts into the metal. You could only go 1 if you want to. I just usually do 2 for the better support. And then after that, you ain't going to be sliding around anymore. And 2, depending on your insurance company, you can declare that your sub box was bolted down. If you do that, then you can also, you know, use that if your subwoofer gets stolen, and sometimes they'll compensate you. All right. Now the next thing I'm going to go off of is a seat like this. If you feel a seat, I probably won't be able to lift this up enough to show you the back. No. So on the back of a seat like this, if you feel, you can't really even see it, but if I push down, you'll see that I'm pushing down, and there's a strut right here, and there's a strut right here, and all the way around. If you're bolting an amplifier, what you can do is say, this is our amp, and you have the 4 holes for bolting your amp. If you want to, you can bolt your amp to the back of the seat right here, and that way, you know, when you bolt your subwoofer box close to it, it'll be it'll sort of press up. Just make sure you leave enough gap, and then if your subwoofer box is sliding around in the trunk for some reason, if you haven't bolted it down, at least then your amp's not sliding around, because if your amp starts sliding around, that's when you get into a lot of trouble. Okay, so as I said, if you're going to be bolting stuff, this one will take wood screws, and you'll just bolt 4 wood screws. Make sure you hit the struts in the seat, and then you can have it so it folds up and down with the seat for tuning purposes and everything else. I usually don't suggest to bolt to the back of sub boxes because of the vibrations, even though they're meant to take it. It's always good to, you know, sometimes just bolt it off away from the sub box, and that if it's sliding around, and just a couple things like that. And if you want to remove the sub box, we'll say you're going out for a weekend and you don't have a lot of room in your trunk. Well, so what you can do is you can unbolt the sub box, and then just disconnect the 2 wires, the subwoofer wires from the back of the amp, and then fold your amp up, and you don't have to worry about positive and negatives touching, and you don't have to dig out all the wiring. Okay, so that's my best suggestion to you. And then of course I have another video which I can post here, and that'll be about stealth amplifiers. As you can see, I put my amplifiers up here, so that way my 4-channel and my 2-channel are nice and hidden, and then that's always the best way too, because then it's out of the way, and if I want to go pick up something from, I don't know, IKEA or somewhere, I can still fold down my seats and slide the product in and not have any issues. Okay, so other than that, if you have any questions, like, subscribe, comment, and we'll get you sorted out. Alright, thanks for watching, and have a great day.